Today we have a special episode, in part because I'm joined by my lovely wife, Jules Campanelli. Jules, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
And another special guest.
Sloan, our baby Sloan, who, yes, we turn on our heat in our home. This is a new development that she'll only sleep in her snowsuit. So here we are. I am personally boiling with this baby on me.
We will get to the announcement in a second, but since this is your first time on the podcast, I'm going to have to ask you for the elevator speech on kind of your background, who you are.
Yeah.
In the Salt Lake scene and in the trail scene.
Yeah. So, hi, my name is Jules Campanelli, and I'm originally from New York, but moved out to Utah four and a half years ago. I don't even remember at this point, but I was only supposed to visit on a road trip. I was supposed to visit one of my friends, and I just had the best weekend ever, so I moved here. And then I was going back and forth on whether I was going to stay, but found such amazing community here right away. I joined a local trail running group called Women of the Wasatch that completely changed my life. And I've spent the last couple of years really investing in that group and playing various leadership roles because I always want people to find the same sort of community that I found when I first moved here. Have since left the leadership team just because got a lot going on with the baby and Masif and all of that. But the new leadership team that just joined is absolutely incredible. So if you are in the Salt Lake area, please check out that group because I want everyone to experience the goodness of it. And I guess the other thing I'll say is that, in my 9 to 5, I work in technology, but really passionate about working on Singletrack and this new race that we're putting on. And so we have a couple different balls in the air right now, but feeling really fulfilled.
Yeah, for anyone that has wondered how Singletrack has survived from an operations, strategic, financial, et cetera standpoint, Jules is very much to thank here. That's just where your mind and your expertise are. It's not the things that come naturally to me. I'm more of just like the let's have conversations, let's make content around the sport, the marketing, the sales maybe, but you're sort of the brilliance behind the scenes and now in front of a camera too. So it's awesome to have you here and it's fun to be working together on this.
Yeah,
seriously.
it has been a blast for sure.
And maybe people are already noticing, but with you here, I officially have the second best podcast voice. Yeah, you crushed me in that department as well. So, okay, so the announcement, really briefly, overhead, for those that have followed on Instagram, but Singletrack, we have an event arm to our company. It is called Masif Running, and we are putting on a trail running festival next June 14th, 2025 in Park City, Utah. It's going to be called Twisted Fork, and this whole episode is just getting into like our excitement for it, our why for it, the history of the race, the splendor of the region, just some of the cool maybe differentiators that we're going to add to the experience. And yeah, just sort of like, this is sort of like an excitement episode for what's to come. And hopefully after listening, you're inspired to join us in some capacity. I think we really begin just with like an excitement about race directing. I know that you talked about just the community angle, working with Women of the Wasatch.
Oh, God.
And we've just been joined, by the way, by our other son, our only son, Squirtle.
This is real life, you guys. This is the chaos of our lives.
If you're watching on YouTube, this is not a stunt. This is just what happens.
Oh, man.
Squirtle T. Campanelli, that's the name of our son. He's also our cat.
Our old man.
Ever since Sloan's been born, Squirtle has been competing for attention. It's been tough. But anyways, just excited about race directing. Like, what comes to mind for you? Like, when you heard about this opportunity, what came to mind?
The ability to convene community here. Like I mentioned before, we have an awesome group in Salt Lake of trail runners and people who enjoy recreating outside. And so we really see this event as a way to bring people together to celebrate our love for trail running, our love for Salt Lake or the Wasatch Back. And we just want it to be a big party.
On my end, and I would echo everything you said, now that we've had a chance to travel the world, going to races, travel across the country, see what excellence looks like across the sport, there is this sense of wanting to come home and establish roots and bring all of these special experiences that you've seen from places like Chamonix and Olympic Valley, and I mean, just the list goes on, and just wanting to invest here. And so for me, it's very much like in the same way you might buy a home or start a family, you start to appreciate just the community around you, and you kind of realize that that is the most tangible thing, and how do I operate more in that sphere? So for me, it's, in addition to all of that, it's just this sense of joy at the opportunity to really like invest here and bring so much of the energy that we bring to Western and UTMB and all of our media stuff like into an event realm here. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
Okay, history of the race. This is really interesting, and maybe we tell a story first. So Twisted Fork actually existed from 2018 to 2021. It was started by this guy named Canis Hart, who also at the time ran a shoe store called Park City Running Company. I've always seen him as a visionary. He had grand ideas for the Park City area and is still to this day, working on them. Really a huge motivation to me. I ran the race in 2019. I had an absolute blast. I thought that from like a course standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, some of the cool surprise and delight factors of the race, he really made it a special experience. And all I could think about was like, this is so cool. Like we're on the path to all sorts of events that are just like really celebrating what make the area special. He actually put the race on through COVID, so that was super impressive. I think he got to a point in 2021 where, there were just other priorities and just there was a lot on his plate. And, I think they also maybe ran into some permitting issues, but basically the race had to stop in 21. And so I had been asking Canis, probably annually after that, like, when's it coming back? When's it coming back? When's it coming back? Because I was just eager to see it come back to life. And this past March, when I kind of made my annual outreach, he said, Finn, I want to see it come back just as much as you do. There's actually an opportunity to take it over if you want. And so I called you. And do you remember that call?
Yeah. You said, hey, can we take over this race? And I was like, sure. And it was as simple as that. Because we had always talked about wanting to be race directors since we met.
Yeah.
And so this kind of felt like an experience we couldn't pass up, even though, like I said, we have a lot going on right now. It just felt like the right thing to do. And I volunteered at this race a couple years back, and I thought it was amazing. It was super well run, a really fun environment. And so, yeah, we really wanted it.
It reminds me, I think one of the things that I admire most about you is you're so logical and you're this great manager of people and ideas and processes, but at the same time you have this spontaneity to you. Like I can call you and you're totally game. You do rightfully put down a lot of my crazy ideas, but like this one, you're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And that's a rare combo. So I don't know, a special moment. And I mean, again, I bring up the history of this race because yes, we in effect, even though we are adding new elements to this, and we're going to talk about it later in the episode, the 64, 68K version of this race, Twisted Fork, did exist from 2018 to 2021. So we really are standing on the shoulders of giants and Canis's vision and all the hard work that he and his team put into it over that 4-year span. It was incredible. Yeah, so to a large extent, I think we're motivated to kind of just revive it and continue that legacy. And I mean, I think even a lot of the things that we're adding to it, they were in the pipeline for him. I think he did one day envision this festival format and maybe a few more shorter distance races and creating that fun finish line experience. But yeah, we're race directors now. And I think, when we kind of segue into our why, I think about everything we've already talked about, bringing the Salt Lake community together, bringing the Park City community together. We really haven't done much yet, and it's something that I want to change. I want to do a better job of bringing the Singletrack community together. We're operating in this weird space where we have our studio, we record podcasts, we do our race coverage, but it's kind of this asymmetric relationship where I'm speaking into the void, Brett's speaking into the void, Leah, Jeff Colt, et cetera, Corinne, and you don't really get to experience that like in-person one-on-one connection as much. So I feel like we're doing two cool things at once where it's like, yes, we are bringing our local community together, but then we're also encouraging, I'll call them single trackers, to come hang. So there's just that added specialness to it as well.
Yeah.
Anything else for you? No?
No.
Okay.
You got it.
The next thing here I think we should get into, though, is just describing the courses. We will have 3 race distances. Like I said, a 68K, a 30K, and a 15K. The 15K is a single loop course that follows the Glen Wild loop outside of Kimball Junction in the Park City area. The 30K follows the Flying Dog Loop, again in the same area. And then the 68K looks like a figure eight. You are following the Flying Dog Loop and then also the Mormon Pioneer Loop. Another interesting thing to note is that all races start inside the Basin Rec Fieldhouse on their turf field. I love this for many reasons. For many of you that have been on the trail racing scene, you know that the start line of any ultra, even in the summertime, can be frigid, and you're just kind of huddling around a fire, or you got a jacket on, you're trying to stay warm. We figured, why not just put you inside a climate-controlled environment? The turf field looks kind of cool. You can stretch, you can relax, you can drink coffee, and you're just going to be warm, and it's just a fun scene. So every race will start there. You will exit out the back door of this turf field onto trails. And then all three races also finish at what's called New Park Amphitheater. And New Park Amphitheater is cool because it's kind of this Coliseum arena type finish where you've got this cool little mini courtyard park to your left. To your right is the New Park Hotel. And straight ahead are all these cool little shops, coffee shops, fashion stores, etc. And it's this really cool, I'll call it melodramatic scene that also just encourages you to hang out after the fact. And it's great for spectators as well. Mm-hmm. I would characterize all three courses as quite runnable. I would say the central challenges are the races all are between 6,000 and 8,000 feet elevation, average elevation of about 7,000 feet, somewhat exposed in terms of the sun. So, needing to be heat acclimated will be something we strongly encourage. And yeah, just the ability to be on these runnable trails, but also managing the altitude and the heat, I think is going to be really interesting. Mm-hmm. So the courses look fast, but you're going to have a lot of really interesting environmental challenges to contend with. And then scenic. These are Park City's springtime trails. It's kind of what's available before the snow in the Wasatch melts out. So your views are going to be really cool. Like, you're going to be on these dry trails with everything kind of in peak bloom, but over to your left or right, depending on where you are on the course, you're going to see the snow-capped Central Wasatch Range, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. Anything else I should add about the courses? I kind of glossed over a lot, but that's just, an elevator pitch for this particular episode. We got to talk differentiators. You've really been thinking about differentiators for this race. So talk about a few of the things that we're going to be putting into action for the first year.
And when we started talking about being race directors, even before this opportunity came up, we always had these ideas, and I'm so glad to see that so many of them have been picked up by race directors recently, and we're starting to see the space really become more thoughtful.
Yeah.
And it's not enough just to permit a race and throw some cookies on a table and call it good, And so we are really borrowing the best ideas that we've seen in the space and making sure that it's included. And so when we say differentiators, we're saying we've sampled the best of the best from different races, and we're trying to, bring that into our experience. So one of the things that I'm most excited about is our childcare. Like, this year has been a big wake-up call for us, having a new baby and thinking about your race schedule next year and thinking about how are we going to pull off crewing your events, some multi-day. Seems like with a baby, very logistically difficult. And so we want to make sure that we provide a space for parents, caretakers to be able to drop off their kids and enjoy their experience and enjoy racing or crewing or spectating, because that's just one less logistical piece for people to figure out. Oh no.
And the kids will have a great time too.
And the kids will have a great time. We're working with an amazing childcare company. They specialize in events, and they've worked with NBA, NFL. They do a lot of military events. And so they really have the operations dialed. And one of the things I love about them is that they're a no-screen company. So the kids will not be in front of iPads. They have this whole experience where they're going to be playing. They bring toys. They bring different activities for them to do. And so we're really excited to be working with them. We're going to provide childcare from 7 to 2. and we are going to heavily, heavily subsidize it. So we will be paying for the majority of the childcare services. We will ask families, one, if you have multiple kids, you just have to pay this once. We're going to ask people for $40 for the day. Yeah. And that is more to deter people from no-showing, because if people no-show, we have a very limited amount of spots, and we don't want to take that opportunity away from someone else who really needs it. Yeah. So if you're serious about childcare, sign up, and that $40 fee is just to help with deterring people from no-showing.
Question there.
Yeah.
Can you talk about first-year plans versus long-term vision, and maybe just some of the trade-offs with this policy in year one to make sure that we learn and can evolve for year two and beyond?
Yeah, so we are going to cap the amount of kids that we're taking in year one to 40 to 45. I say 40 to 45 because if you're in one of those late spots and you have multiple kids, we're obviously not going to say you can only drop one off because we're at our max. So we have a little bit of flexibility for those who sign up that have multiple kids, but we want to make sure that we have everything really dialed, and that this is a program that we can expand in future years. But this year will be limited because we want to make sure that the check-in's seamless, the kids have a great experience, and we can build upon that for next year.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then the scholarship.
And then another thing I'm so excited about is our scholarship. So we have 10 scholarship spots, and that is open to anyone who is a part of an underserved population or is facing financial hardship. And if you want to apply, it's right on our website. You just click on the scholarship tab, and the entries will be just shared between you and I. It will not be shared out more than that. So it's basically anonymous, and we're going to select 10 folks to get a free entry. If you are part of the scholarship group and you need childcare, you will not be charged for that $40 fee. We will cover that. So that service is available to our scholarship participants as well.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also just want to publicly thank you here, because I would say both of these ideas came squarely from you. Obviously, I'm a huge supporter, but this was your vision, your genius, you just like surveying things that other awesome races have attempted or are actively doing, and I just huge salute.
Yeah, I'm borrowing all of this,
but because I remember the day we talked, the day that we were able to connect with Candace and figure out that we were going to be able to take it over. I think the next thing you said to me was,
we will have childcare.
We will have childcare.
Yeah.
Like, okay, all right, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, now that Boo has joined, final differentiator, at least the one that I'll mention here, is our concept of a race within a race. So again, this is an extension of what Candace had done in the first 4 editions, but he was very much inspired by the Tour de France and stage racing and some of the cool little micro competitions that took place. 2 that we've installed for the 68K version of our race festival. The first one is King and Queen of the Mountain. So early on in the race, I think it's about 5 or 6 miles in, we have a timing mat at the bottom of the flying dog climb and a timing mat at the top of that climb. It's about a 3-mile section. And we are offering prize money to the fastest male and female runners on that section. And it's really interesting because you can push yourself there, but obviously you're taking a risk, right? Like, if you push too hard there, do you completely blow up in the second half of the race and lose the overall objective of trying to compete as well as you can and high as you can? I don't know. These are the kind of things that make these micro competitions interesting. So we've got the King and Queen of the Mountain there, and then we've also got our finish line sprint. So the last quarter mile of the 68K course, we've got similar timing mats set up, and I like this one in particular because whether you are front of the pack or middle of the pack or back of the pack, if you still have a kick in you, you can be competitive here. Mm-hmm. So that'll be there as well. And again, we're always trying to find ways to celebrate all aspects of the race and to put as many people as possible in contention for some sort of celebrations or victories. And I think these 2 micro competitions, I'll call them, are directionally correct. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to go back and look at the previous 4 editions of Twisted Fork, but I would be curious to know how well or not well the winners of these micro competitions stacked up to like overall finishing results.
I think Candace said that every year people just came and ripped that section and then faded, but they won something, and it was that section.
So, those are the two that we're going to install for the 2025 edition. I think we're always looking for ideas for other ones. So if you're listening to this and have any ones that you'd want us to consider, there's still time. Like
maybe a Salt Lake versus Boulder competition.
I really want that. I mean, this is a super inside baseball request, but if any of the Boulder boys are listening, and if any of the Salt Lake softies, as I think are workshopping the name, but that's what we're calling them right now. If anyone is listening at either end, I have long wanted to see the Boulder boys and the Salt Lake softies come together at a race. Maybe it could be the Twisted Fork 68K or the 30K. We can kind of workshop it and do battle. And then I want to create some sort of trophy.
Yeah.
Or some sort of award that the winner of this interstate battle
Let's make it happen, Boulder boys. Come race the 30K.
Seth Ruling, Matt Daniels, Adam Mary, Drew Holman, Moyes. If you're listening, this is a call out. And again, we will find a way to make it worth your while in addition to all of the intrigue and just like the bragging rights involved. But let's talk. And then, I don't know, Caleb Olson, Garrett Corcoran, you already signed up. Tyler Green, Mike McMonigal, although he might be photographing this thing. We're gonna assemble a team. Grant Barnett, Anthony Costalis. Like, we're gonna find a way to get this going.
Did we talk about the whole like finish line experience?
Oh,
did you cover that already?
Yeah. So we also should, again, I said that was the last differentiator, but this maybe is the last differentiator, is we are trying to follow this tradition of the festival experience in a trail running format. So yes, the 3 races are important and they are a major draw, but we are hoping to create an experience before the race through vendor activations and group runs, etc., as well as finish line post-run activations where, like, when you cross the line at New Park Amphitheater, whether you're in the 15K, 30K, or 68K, when you cross that finish line, you've done something amazing, but like, in a sense, the party's almost just getting started.
Yeah.
And we're encouraging you to, go grab a coffee at Couple of Coffee, or check out the clothing stores, or, play cornhole on the grass, or, listen to some live music, just hang. Like, we really want this to be this like fun social event, networking event, etc.
Full day experience.
Full day. Like, we want to make this experience where, yes, you've finished racing, but like, then you just hang. Like, you just immerse yourself in all that is cool about Park City, because Park City is a really cool spot.
It's really cool.
We really want to celebrate it. And if you haven't been, or if you have been and you're looking for an excuse to come back, we want to create that full day experience. And hopefully in the years to come as well, this expands into a multi-day thing. Again, excited to be in the race directing space, excited to be showcasing everything that we think is great about springtime Park City, Utah trail running. We really want to hone in on that festival experience that makes you not just love the course you ran, but also that post-run afterglow, celebration, games, food, music, hanging out. And yeah, I'll talk about the competitive status of the race. I know that there are people that listen to the podcast that are diehard fans of the sport. They're curious to know kind of how things are materializing in this respect. This is something that we've been working quite hard on for the last few weeks. So I'm just going to throw out some names just to build hype. So in the 68K, the men's field is looking quite impressive. You've got Adam Loomis, Justin Grunwald, JP Giblin, Mackay Clemens, Noah Dussault, Brett Hornig, Sean O'Connor, Jesse Rich, Sam Collins, Zach Hauer. So that's just the field that we have right now in late November of 24. Like that, this field is going to grow over time. On the women's side, we've got Devin Yanko, Kat Short, Meg McKenzie, Shea Aquilano. I am actively looking, in addition to this incredible field, we are actively looking for more top female contenders. So if you are a top female contender looking for a chance to race here at the 68K, let me know. Let's talk. In the 30K, men's side, Garrett Corcoran, Caleb Olson, Darren Thomas, Nick Tusa, Liam Hammonds, Tommy Sullivan, Grant Barnett. On the women's side, stacked. Lauren Gregory, MK Sullivan, Leah Yingling, Heather Jackson, Jane Moss, Anna Fisher, Sarah Cummings, Mercedes Siegler-Gaither. 15K, Tabor Hemming, Giselle Slotboom on the women's side, Eli Hemming, Christian Allen on the men's side. Like, just incredible.
Mike Tamayo.
Oh, you got to throw Mike Tamayo in. Okay, yeah. So for those that don't know, Mike Tamayo, former roommate, he's actually done a lot of design work for us in the past at Singletrack too. Ran 146 in the 800, I think 10 years ago, like pre-super shoes, etc. So he's just He's a monster. We finally convinced him to
Come to the trail
come out of
side.
retirement and get on trails. He's going to be a problem out there. If you're watching or listening, yeah, you're my dark horse. In terms of framing, again, for the professionals out there, in terms of framing, but this also applies to anybody that's trying to build a trail season. We've been framing the 15K race as a great tune-up for Broken Arrow the following week. The 30K, we think, is a great tune-up for the Western States 100 that takes place 2 weeks later. And then the 68K is really a great tune-up for any plans you have at later, longer, 100K, 100-mile summer races, with the caveat for all this being, I think that Twisted Fork is an end in and of itself. We certainly see it that way. We think it's a fun experience. The courses are cool. The competition's going to be great. But yeah, if you're just wondering how this could plug into everything else you're doing, I think that's the way we're really seeing it from a framing standpoint. Okay, we got to talk about our partners. Honestly, this festival doesn't go off without our partners, and these are all companies that we are long-term committed to, not just within a race capacity, but also in other sort of categories of single track. The first one that I want to mention is NAC. NAC will be our official nutrition partner for the Twisted Fork Race Festival. Really excited about them. We've been working with them since the beginning of 2024. They've got great products for the ultra distance and really for any of these races at Twisted Fork. One of the things that we plan to do with NAC over the coming months, stay tuned via email communication, is we will be putting together a lot of nutritional advice, especially around training and fueling in the heat and training and fueling at high altitude. These are going to be big things to contend with at Twisted Fork. So we will likely put out YouTube content, educational content around that. And then also, NAC has a nutrition calculator on their website that Twisted Fork will be added to. And the cool thing about this nutrition calculator is they will map our aid stations for the 15K, 30K, and 60K onto their calculator. And you can build a nutrition plan for the race based on height, weight, sweat rate, sweat composition, fueling preferences like liquid versus gels. And they will spit back this really cool plan for you. So you'll be ready to go. So we're going to make sure that you are prepared nutritionally ahead of the race and training on race day. And hopefully you have sufficient opportunity to work with their products in the lead up. Another partner for us is Goreware. Goreware will be the official apparel partner of the Singletrack Podcast. I'm very excited. They make great stuff. And, similar to NAC, I think we really want to do deep work with Goreware, activating them from an educational standpoint on how to dress for these 15K, 30K, and 68K races. Like when it's hot out, when you're at high altitude, what are you wearing, and how do those equipment choices ultimately help impact your race? So again, not only will we have special, discount deals for runners to, get this stuff if they want it for race day, but also hopefully there's an educational component so that, again, you are prepared in this category. Another partner for us is Keen. Keen will be the official footwear partner of the Twisted Fork Trail Festival. I like Keen for many reasons. One of the things that really resonated with us is just their focus on environmental sustainability. They have a tagline that everything in their lineup is consciously created. In 2025, they are bringing a trail running shoe to market. You can see this is their Seek model right here. And again, similar to Goreware, similar to NAC, we want to make sure that people who are signed up for this race have a chance to test the product. So in the days leading up to the event and on race day, we'll have demos available. Keen will have personnel on the ground kind of walking you through the why of the shoe, the value proposition. And yeah, again, just coming back to that environmental piece, and maybe you have something to add here. I just think that the way Keen operates from a business model standpoint in this space is really admirable. I know that we have a lot of work to do when it comes to environmental sustainability. And so to partner with a company like them, and NAC does this too. I mean, a lot of our partners do. They have the PFAS-free angle as well. Like, we really just want to be within that ethos. And in addition to making a really comfortable product, great product, they fit that mold.
Definitely. And they will be helping us design consciously created aid stations and packet pickup. And so it's something that we want to incorporate in our race as well. Yeah. And they're going to be amazing advisors to make sure that our event has thought put around environmental impact.
Couple more. Kodiak Cakes. Kodiak Cakes is a local Park City company, and they have partnered with us in many respects in years past. I guess we'll call them like the official pancake partner.
Official pancake
Which
partner.
I'll have to talk with Sam Losi at Kodiak to see how that resonates. I think he'll probably agree that it's cool. Shout out Sam, by the way. Kodiak Cakes is super cool. Great group of people. We actually, in a prior world, when we were originally devising some of the new courses for Twisted Fork, I had hoped that we could get one of them to pass by Kodiak HQ, which is really close to Kimball Junction. Couldn't quite make it work. But yeah, Kodiak will be out there owning one of the aid stations, and I think providing some finish line fare. So they're just great people, great product.
Super fun
Company. Grateful for their support. And then the last one, but certainly not least, our official coaching partner is Trails and Tarmac. Of course, Trails and Tarmac is headed up by friend of the podcast, colleague Brett Hornig. And again, similar to activations with all these other partners, Brett's going to help runners that are signed up train for this race. We're going to look at the 15K, the 30K, the 68K. We're going to look at the demands, and we're going to build out something like 12 to 16 week static plans that people can look at and use if they need to make sure that they're prepared. And I believe that, Brett is signed up for the 68K, but I believe they might have a booth as well. We're still kind of working out those details, and we'll have some good on-the-ground conversation. But make sure you check out trailsandtarmac.com, because I can personally attest, having worked with them for many years as an athlete, that they do great work, and they are just awesome members of the trail community. So those are our partners. I'll throw all of our discount codes for them in the show notes. And again, one of the best ways to, and I've said this before with Singletrack, one of the best ways to support Singletrack, one of the best ways to support the race is to use these discount codes to patronize our partners. We would not be partnered with them if we didn't believe in them or didn't use their products ourselves. So do you want to talk about generally how to get involved?
Yeah.
Or how to register?
Yeah, so to register, just go to massifrunning.com and you will see the register button on most of the pages. So it's pretty easy to navigate to. We are halfway full. The 68K is halfway full.
Yes.
The other races have a little bit more availability. And so if you're interested in the 68K, that race is going to sell out. And so,
soon.
Yeah, so I would encourage folks to snag a spot. Our permit for the 68K is a little bit smaller than the 30 and 15 because we're utilizing Forest Service land for that. And we are on a trial permit for our first year, basically.
Yeah.
So that race is going to expand in future years, but for now, the spots are limited, so make sure that if you want to run it, you sign up soon. And if you want to volunteer, that we will be releasing our volunteer site really soon. And if you're interested in keeping up to date with updates, we do have like an email list that you can sign up for. So just go to the volunteer page on massifrunning.com and throw your name in the volunteer listserv. And volunteers will either get a free entry to the 30 or 15K in the next year,
Yep.
or you will receive $15 an hour for race credits that can be applied to any of Massif's future events, including the
Primarily
68.
the 68K.
Yeah. And the reason we're doing that, again, is because our permit is so limited for the 68K that we're just not able to give as many spots away for that. But in future years, we're hoping that volunteers can snag one of those as well. Yeah.
Cool. I guess final thoughts, the send-off. I'm super excited. I think I've said everything I wanted to say, but it's a dream to work with you on this.
Yeah, it's been
Like
fun.
I said,
It's already been fun.
It's already been fun. You're a saint for putting up with me.
That is true.
And I can't wait. This is a coming home vision quest,
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to set up shop here in Park City and, similar to Singletrack, just kind of see where this event directing road takes us.
Yeah. If you don't want to run it, come volunteer, come hang out, whatever, we just want it to be a party. So we'll see you there in June.
Yeah, you don't need to do one of the races. Like Jules said, just come hang. If you love Singletrack, if you want to meet fellow members or just hang out with us, just come hang. It'll be a great time.
Yeah.
There's still some space in the 68K, still some space in the 30K, still some space in the 15K. So head over to massifrunning.com to sign up. Hope to see you there. And as always, thanks for listening to the Singletrack Podcast. I'm Finn Melanson.
Jules Campanelli. See you in June.